So implementing a job or implementing a combination of jobs or positions totally depend upon your industry, the type of industry you are working for. If an industry is flexible, they don't take care of headcounts a lot. They are flexible in hiring a person to a different business unit or a different department. Then we go for jobs. But if a company is very much strict in the hiring process, they are very much strict in managing or maintaining their headcounts for budgeting or some other purpose. So in that case, we go with a position. So you can see that the company like retail industry or utilities or educational services, public transportation, they actually go with a position concept. So they will have position plus job both. Company like your construction company, services company, finance company, insurance company, they go with only jobs. So before we move further, any clarification on when to use jobs or when to use jobs and position both?
Positioning, the job is also tied up with your department and your legal entity or business unit, right? So what is the difference
Hey,
here? I still don't get that.
sure. So if you create a job, job is not tied to your business unit.
Okay.
So we'll see. When we create a job, you will never specify what business unit it is in, what department it is in. So it is independent. So same job can be used for some other business unit or some other department. But when you create a position, it is like a job only tied to a specific business unit, a specific department. So that means if a position is empty, when a person applies to that position, the person will be hired in the same business unit in the same department.
So you can create number of positions, but it doesn't mean that it's all tied up with their department or your business unit.
Position will tied up.
Yeah,
Jobs will not
position,
get
not
tied
the
up.
jobs.
So can you give a few examples of jobs which like not tied up to a position? And
Suppose that take an example of functional consultant. Okay, so we are working for a company as distribution. So there we have a requirement for a functional consultant, and we have two business units there. There's a business unit Oracle, there's a business unit SAP. Okay, in Oracle we have two departments. One is Mumbai department and one is Bangalore department. In SAP also we have two departments, SAP Bangalore, SAP Mumbai. Now suppose that a position, the person has to be hired, and what is like a person leaves the company. Okay, suppose that in Oracle Mumbai, from that department, from Oracle View, a person leaves. Now we have a open vacancy. Now suppose that if a company hires a person of the same vacancy, if a company hires some other functional consultant, and that person can also sit under some other department like Oracle Bangalore, the person can work from that department also. So in that case, it is like it is not actually tied to a particular department. It is like open, flexible. But that is so that the function consultant will be a job. Now the same functional consultant, when tied to Oracle business unit, Oracle Mumbai location, then in that case what will happen? If a person from Oracle Mumbai will leave, that functional consultant has to be hired into Oracle business unit and Mumbai location. So that functional consultant will become a position. So these are the different industry on which you can see that where to use position, where to use jobs, and whenever the enterprise which you have created with your enterprise structure configurator, so that enterprise structure configurator will also ask you that what are the different it will also give you a set of questions which can help you to identify that whether you have to go with jobs or whether you have to go with jobs and position both. So that was the main reason while creating an enterprise structure configurator actually asked us for the service industry, what was the exact industry. So we entered finance or somebody might have entered some other industry. So depending upon what you have selected there, the enterprise structure configurator will actually recommend us that whether we should go with job or whether we should go with jobs and position both. So I'm going back to the implementation project. So you have to select your enterprise and you have to go to the top and there click on this configure jobs and position. Select the enterprise which you have created, highlight that enterprise row and click on configure jobs and position. It is showing me that the primary industry which I choose earlier was finance and insurance. The system is saying me that jobs are recommended for this industry. So you can say that I want to use this option. So in that case, only jobs will be created. Or you can say that I want to explore other options. So in that case, system will give you some other set of questions. That manager usually replace the person but can use the headcount and hire to a different job. If you select this, then again system will give you a recommendation that you should go with jobs. Then manager can replace a person by rehiring to the same role or freeze the post for budget purpose. So in this case, you can see it is like jobs and hierarchy positions both can come into picture. So it is like it will ask you and it will give you a different advice and you can give you that what should you do. So for us, I will go with I want to use this. Now, whenever you are creating a job, so on job, what can be happening is that you can actually identify some of the attributes as the enterprise level, and you can actually identify some of the attribute on a set level or a context level. So we'll see.
Hey, Praveen,
Is
it something similar to, is it something similar to creating the job flex field?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe you can create on an enterprise level, so it will be actually applicable to each and every set. Or you can actually create to a particular set or something. So we'll see. So we can give 10. Okay. Attribute name can be like enterprise. And in type you can select whether it is a text type or a what it is. So this job attribute will be created on an enterprise level. So this field will be available to each and every objects of the enterprise. Now you can also create some attribute which is reference data set applicable. So suppose that you have created 2 or 3 different reference data set. So you can create those attributes, and only when a job is actually created with help of that reference data set, then these values will only appear to those jobs. So you can give some set group name, like maybe you can select the set which you have created. So for me, I created only one set. So that is the reason I'm selecting TR set 001. So you can see that one of the attribute for job is enterprise level. You can create another attribute which will be your set specific. So this attribute will be only be visible to this set. We created one attribute for a job, or you can say a flex field, which is actually visible to each and every set. And we created one attribute which is visible to only a specific set. So you can see the detail. So one, the context is enterprise, for other the context is reference data set. So this attribute for the job or the flex field for the job is for the entire enterprise, and this is only for the particular data set. Click save and close. So now once you are done with creating an enterprise with your enterprise structure configurator, and once you are done with identifying the attributes for job, that which attribute will be
A question. So the ones which you created, the generic one and the specific one, data set, job. So the specific one, you can assign it to anything where you want only specific job data set to be used, right? Job structure to be used.
So see, when you create a job, so you have a task managed job. So whenever you create a job, it will ask you that what is a set for that job. So you will say that it is a common set, or it is like a exact job is created to a particular set. So whenever we actually identified the attributes are nothing but additional field, or you can say flex field. So whenever you create a flex field or attribute on an enterprise level, so whenever you create any jobs, it will appear to them. So you can add additional details like maybe suppose that you create an attribute like job name in a old ERP system. So old ERP job name. So that was an attribute we created, and it is enterprise level. So whenever you will create any other jobs in new system, there will be a field available, old ERP name. So there you will enter. But now suppose that you want a field to be very much specific to the job created in a particular reference data set. So in that case, you will create a reference data set attribute and you will give the reference data set name there. So it will only appear to the jobs which are getting created into that reference data set.
Can you give a specific example? And one more thing which I wanted to check is, see, like I have a, can it be different structure? Like I have four fields, four segment flex field on the first one, like the enterprise level, and when I create a specific one, can I have 5 or 3 segment flex field?
Yeah, you can do that. So let me go back to that. Or let me open the.
Did you get my point where what I was looking for?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going back to this configure jobs in position. This enterprise attribute 1. Okay. So whenever you will go to a task, let me go to the task. So we'll go to the task manage jobs, which is actually responsible to create a new job. So we'll have this exercise in more detail when we go with a job. So see, whenever you create a job, the first thing it is asking is job set. Okay. So you will select common set if you're actually creating any job in a common set so that it is visible to each and every business. Now, if you give some name like test 101, you have an enterprise level attribute and you have loaded these enterprise, you have loaded this thing. So this enterprise attribute 1, this is an additional field which will actually appear to each and every job, irrespective of the fact whether it is created in a common set or whether it is created in any specific set. So if as soon as you click next, that additional field will come somewhere in this place. Like see sample. It is an additional field. Okay. Now, as you move to the third, whenever you create any specific data set, attributes or additional field, like set attribute 1, or you can create other also like you can create n number of fields. Test. So in this case, what will happen? So this is a group name, and this group is having this reference data set, and it is having these two attributes. So as soon as I will try to create any job under this reference data set, so we'll go back. Suppose that assume that this is a reference data set, okay? And we actually tried creating this job. So all the additional attribute which we have created and is attached to this reference set will start appearing in the next page into this place. And plus all the enterprise will come. So enterprise is like default, and all the specific set attributes will only come when you select that set while creating a job. Does that answer your question?
Can you show me where the set attribute 2 and 1, which you said? I just missed that. Can you show that in the previous example? No, can you go back to previous slide? No, not here, not here. On the job, when you selected this test group reference data set group.
Okay.
Right?
I cancel it here.
No, not so. What go back to the job, adding the job.
Manage job, okay?
Yeah, manage job, right? So where is the attributes? Yeah. So these are the, where are the two new attributes?
Job set. Because we have not loaded this. That is the reason we are not able to see. Whatever you are doing and until unless you are not loading it, you will not be able to see in the
Okay.
real time.
Got it.
You got my point?
So,
I am trying.
yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I got your point. Only question is, this structure is not going to change. Only the additional fields, like additional attributes, will be changed. That's all. The main structure will be same.
Yeah.
Job flex field structure will be same. Right?
So in that case, if you select a specific set, and if you go to the next, all the attribute which is enterprise level and all the attribute which was actually created for that set will start appearing in this.
Yeah. So whatever you create at the enterprise level, let us say for example you have 4 segments in the enterprise level, right? And you have 2 attributes in the enterprise level. Those things will, by default it will come. In addition, if you want to add 1 or 2 attributes, that can be given to the reference data set, right?
Yeah. If you don't want to show that attribute to other set, then you can do that.
Okay, gotcha. So the structure will be same across the entire enterprise, no matter what.
Same, no matter what. It is like additional seed. These are seeded one. If you see the top one, till management level, all these are seeded one. Just somebody has created a sample as an enterprise. And that is the reason it is coming.
Okay.
Let me see the loaded one. I edit it. Oh, I think it is not allowing me to edit the loaded thing. I think I need to roll back. Okay, so is it clear about the attribute or the additional field which you create on an enterprise and the attribute or the additional field which you create for a reference set? Yeah.
So can you explain the attribute and flex field in more simplified? I don't understand what's an attribute or what's a flex field.
Okay. See, flex field is something. Suppose that on this page you are creating a job. So you have many fields like full-time, regular, job, family, job functions, all these. So these are seeded fields. It comes by, it is there by default. Now my requirement is that I want to add one more field like sample. So their client is saying that whenever I create a job, I have a requirement to capture additional detail, and I will capture that additional detail under the field name sample. So we'll ask client, do you want it for all jobs or it is only for a certain group of jobs that you want to capture that information? So client comes and say that, okay, so now we want 2 fields. One is that sample will be for each and every job, and another there will be another field maybe like restricted sample, and that we only want for the job which is assigned to set 001. We'll say okay. So now we have to create 2 additional fields to capture the additional information given by client. One field is common to each and every job, irrespective of the fact that in which set the job falls in. So what we will do is that we'll create that attribute or the additional field at an enterprise level. So we'll create into this.
In that create jobs option, create jobs and positions option, we are actually creating, attributes to that job and not jobs.
Yeah,
exactly.
you're not creating jobs. You are actually creating attributes. So it is like configure job.
Additional attributes or something.
Additional
apart from what was given in the originally given in Oracle. Okay.
Yeah. So now, depending upon requirement, you will actually create under enterprise or you will create under a reference data set. That train stop is not to create a job or a position. That is to create an attribute for a job or a position if required.
So can you show it again, that configure jobs and positions, so that I can now link it, please?
So I will select any one of them. So depending upon industry, the system will give that job as recommended. Now can you see there are 2 train stops. One is define enterprise level and define contextual attribute. So if you click next, it is the attribute which is common. If suppose that client has a requirement, that client wants to store some additional information whenever you are creating a job, and that has to be common to each and every job. So that way you will create into enterprise. And if a client has a requirement for a particular job or a particular number of a job which falls under a particular set, so that you will create under contextual attribute.
Enterprise level attribute will be common to all jobs, and
Common to all.
contextual will be a particular reference set which we have
Particular
created.
reference set. And in contextual attribute, first of all, you will create a group name. So you can give any group name, group 1, 2, 3 or something. Then whatever that additional reference data set you have created, it will start appearing. So you will select and you will bring it to this section. And you will create additional attributes for the field under this portion, reference data set level.
Why do you have to name the reference data set again? Means you already have a name to it, right? When we created enterprise,
Yeah.
we already gave it a name.
When you created enterprise, you have created a reference data set. Now you're creating an attribute under reference data set. You're not actually creating a reference data set. You are actually identifying that for which reference data set I am trying to create an attribute. So any other question on this configure jobs and position? Guys, open your enterprise and try to configure the jobs and position. Maybe you can have one attribute at the enterprise level and one attribute at a reference set level which you have created.
Sir, can you explain what's a flex field? Like you talked about and the attribute. What's a flex field exactly?
So see, if you see this screen, system is actually giving an option to enter details whenever you are creating a job. Okay, so system is giving me, suppose that these 5 or 10 different fields, which is by default. Okay, now I have a requirement that I want to capture additional detail also, which is not given by default. So in all these fields, I can capture status, I can capture full-time, part-time, I can capture all other details. But other than this, I have to capture some other information, like maybe whether a job is confidential, yes or no. So you need to capture other information like confidential job, yes or no. So in that case, client is saying that I need to capture this also, but when we see our screen, we are not able to find that field which can help us to store information about whether a job is confidential or not. So in that case, we create an additional field, and we will actually.
It's actually a flexible field. That's the full form of flex field. That is something which create.
It is not a full form flexible. Yeah, it is like an additional field, you can say.
Okay.
Which is not by default.
Okay, I got it.
So
yes,
I did configure those positions on jobs. So once we configure, if you want to review those back again, how do we go there?
So you have configured, you can again highlight your enterprise.
Yeah.
And just click on configure jobs and position.
So again it will show us like.
So that's showing.
It is asking for to start again. So instead of doing that, where do we see our changes?
Did you click on save and close?
Yeah, I already did that.
Let me give you a presentation here. Sandeep, now.
See, I configure like this. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
And I already did save and close.
Okay, so just highlight. Can you go to the enterprise? Okay.
Yes, I'm going there. This is my.
Okay, click on this review result.
Oh, okay. So here.
Review result. Yeah.
Okay.
Click. Now you can see job structure. So you created one attribute which was enterprise level, and you created another attribute which was on a reference data set level.
So one I select for reference data set and I select the two attributes.
Okay, so is that clear now? You can also download a technical summary report, so it will like a more enhanced report.
So so one of this configuration, once we download this technical summary report, so it just gives like in a table format what we did and etc.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can just see how it appears.
Okay.
So what happens many times, what we do is that we actually use this CSV and we actually create 2 or 3 different versions, and we can send this guide to the client that this is how things will appear. Please confirm.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
So it is really a good way that maybe they are not sure whether to bring some thing in a business unit or whether to bring something in a department. So what we do is that we actually create ESC using 2 or 3 different options. Okay.
Yeah, instead of taking
And we
screenshot,
share,
this is much
yeah.
better. Yeah.
And we share this summary guide to them that if we create this in the business unit and divisions, this is how it will look.